Sun swung a fire poker and smashed it down on the shrine of the earth god. Half of the kind-faced man's face split open, and ash dripped down rapidly. He was annoyed by his mother-in-law, old lady Zhou's, coughing, which had disturbed his nap. Just as he was venting his anger on the statue, old lady Zhou appeared in a corner, her hands turning purple, clutching half a frozen cornbread, her throat making a rattling sound like a broken bellows. He was about to ask his daughter-in-law for some hot water when Sun turned around and spat all over his face. "You old hag, cough one more time, and I'll throw you to the back mountain to feed the wolves." Everyone in Malanton knew that the earth god was the backbone of the village. Every family had to worship him when a wife got married, give thanks when a baby was born, and even offer a bowl of millet to livestock. But Sun, who had been married into the family for 5 years, had never lit a single stick of incense for the statue. She was even more abusive towards old lady Zhou, who had raised their son, Taiju, with great difficulty. The other day, old lady Zhou went up the mountain to collect firewood. Trying to save coal for the family, she slipped and broke her leg. Normally, a doctor should be called to set the bone, but Sun sure urged her on, saying, "Why waste money? She won't die. She can just lie there." She insisted the old woman lie on the cold earthen bed for 3 days, only giving her 2 moldy cornbreads. That day, the village doctor, Wang, passed by and heard old lady Zhou groaning inside. He pushed open the door and was shocked. The old woman's leg was swollen like a steamed bun. The wound was oozing pus, and her lips were cracked and bleeding. He had just taken out some ointment to apply when Sunsure burst in. She snatched the ointment and threw it outside. "My family uses rice pipes. Are you trying to take advantage?" Wang Shi's hands trembled with anger. Pointing to the cracked statue of the local earth god on the wall, he said, "Aren't you afraid of retribution?" Sun Shi sneered, kicked the shrine, and said, "Retribution? Let him strike me down with lightning if he dares." No sooner had he finished speaking than a thunderclap boomed outside, startling the chickens and dogs in the yard. Sun's heart skipped a beat, but he remained defiant, saying it was just a coincidence and he was making a fuss. But he didn't see the cracked porcelain go into his eye. It felt like something flashed. That night, Sun slept soundly, dreaming that an old man with a white beard hit him on the head with a cane, scolding him for being disobedient and unfilial, and for defiling the incense offerings. He awoke in a cold sweat, and looking at the shrine, he saw a sticky, snow-like flood seeping from the crack in the moonlight. In the following days, strange things continued to happen. When Sun went to the well to fetch water, the bucket would split in two halfway up. The bedding left out to dry in the yard, even on a sunny day, would be damp enough to wring out water when brought in. Most strangely, one of his chickens would disappear every morning, without a single feather left. Sun was terrified and secretly went to ask the village's old shaman. The sorceress squinted and pinched for a long time, then suddenly slapped her thigh. "You've offended the local earth god. The statue is cracked. The spirit is bleeding. If you don't atone, your oxen will suffer." These words struck a nerve with Mr. Sun. The oxen were the lifeblood of his family's farming. He rushed home in a panic, just in time to see old Mrs. Zhou tumble off the calm, heated brick bed. trying to reach the kettle to catch her feet. The old woman fell to the ground, groaning in pain. Suddenly, Mr. Sun remembered the old man with the white beard's words in his dream, and inexplicably, he went over and carried his mother-in-law back to the calm. That night, he tossed and turned, unable to sleep. He got up to kowtow to the earth god, but as soon as he lit incense, the crack in the shrine suddenly widened, and the statue crashed to the ground, shattering into pieces. From the pile of shards rolled out half a half-eaten cornbread, the very one he had thrown to old Mrs. Zhou a few days earlier. The old woman hadn't eaten it and had hidden it away. Mr. Sun was terrified and collapsed to the ground, only then remembering old Mrs. Zhou's past. During the famine, old lady Zhou gave her last handful of rice to Taiju, who was starving and nearly dying. She chewed tree bark to relieve the pain, and Taiju developed frostbite in the winter. The old woman would spend the whole night tucking his feet into her bosom and tapping them. Taiju always told her these stories when he was alive, but she never took them to heart. The next morning, Sun went to see Dr. Wang with money in her pocket, her eyes red with tears, begging him to repair her mother-in-law's leg. She then ran to the town's general store and bought a new statue of the local earth god. She placed the statue quietly on the altar and, like other families, offered 3 white steamed buns. But the strange occurrences didn't stop. Their ox suddenly stopped eating and drinking, lying on the ground panting. Sun was so anxious that tears streamed down her face as she squatted outside the cowshed, crying, "I've changed everything. Why won't you leave me alone?" At this moment, old Mrs. Zhou, leaning on her cane, moved over and said shakily, "It's not that the gods are mad at you. It's just that your remorse hasn't even warmed up yet." The old woman took out a cloth bag from her bosom, inside which were several crumpled bills. "This is my retirement money. Take it to call the vet. The cow can't die." Looking at the money, Sun remembered how she used to always search her mother-in-law, afraid she was hiding money. Suddenly, tears streamed down her face. She hugged her mother-in-law and cried loudly, saying she was not human, that she was sorry to the old woman and sorry to the deceased Taiju. After that day, Sun was like a different person. Every day, she bathed and fed old Mrs. Zhou, helped her walk in the yard, and before going to work in the fields, she would always leave hot water within her mother-in-law's reach. She would talk to the old woman in the evenings, listening to her tell stories of Tieju's childhood. Strangely enough, after a few days, her cow recovered on its own, eating and drinking normally. The well bucket never cracked again. The chickens stopped disappearing and even started laying eggs every day. Some said the local earth god had calmed down. Others said Sun's sincerity had moved heaven. Later, old lady Zhou's legs gradually healed, and she could walk with a cane, so Sun accompanied her. Every day, they went to the earth god temple to burn incense. The temple always said, "The incense is most abundant when you two come. There will be a good autumn harvest." Sun pushed a wheelbarrow carrying newly harvested millet to the earth god temple to fulfill her vow, with old lady Zhou sitting on the cart, clutching a red cloth bag. When they arrived at the temple, the old woman opened the bag. It contained a small earth god carved from clay and wood, whose eyebrows and eyes somewhat resembled those of Tai Zhu in his youth. The spirit resided in the heart, not in the appearance. Old Lady Zhou touched the wooden statue, saying, "You're good to me." That's being true to heaven and earth and to your own conscience. Looking at her mother-in-law's graying hair, Sun suddenly understood that those so-called retributions were merely a mirror of the human heart. If you treat others harshly, life will throw cold water on you. If you open your heart and warm others, life will naturally keep warmth for you. Nowadays, people in Malanton say that the aroma of white steamed buns always wafts through the Sun family's courtyard. The aroma, mixed with the incense smoke from the local temple, swirls in the wind, making people feel at ease.